The Transmission Company of Nigeria says electricity has been restored to parts of the country following Wednesday's blackout. TCN spokesperson Ndidimba confirmed that the outage was triggered by the tripping of the Omotosho-Ikeja West 330 kilovolts transmission line at about 11:34 a.m. local time, disrupting power supply to Lagos, Abuja and Oshodo. While other sections of the grid remain stable, the affected line has now been restored. However, some areas in Abuja are still awaiting reconnection. TCN has reiterated its commitment to grid stability, but this latest incident, coming after a similar national grid failure in January, has renewed concerns over the reliability of Nigeria's power infrastructure. And out to politics. As the crisis in Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, intensifies, Prince Uche Secondus, the party's former national chairman, has urged those exacerbating the crisis to cease and allow the party to conclude its transformational cycle of change. Secondus made the call while speaking with journalists in Rivers State about the ongoing political crisis rocking the party.
I believe that everything is transformative. Times will tell. Situations will change from one likely situation to all the other. I believe that we're expecting better. After the party will pass through all the difficult challenges and turmoil, there will come a time that the party will play its role very well, and more importantly, those who are in charge of government should allow the political parties to develop and grow. They should not kill it. Those in government should not kill all the other political parties. If they do, it will be doomed.
In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party has officially confirmed Ude Okoye as its substantive national secretary. A statement from PDP's National Publicity Secretary, Debo Olugwanda, said the National Working Committee made the decision after reviewing legal judgments affirming Okoye's position. The NWC considered a High Court ruling in Enugu, a Court of Appeal judgment, and a legal opinion from top lawyers, including Dr. Kabiru Turaki. The statement emphasized that the confirmation aligns with court rulings and that no superior judgment contradicts Okoye's appointment. With this decision, Okoye is now fully recognized as the PDP's national secretary. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has raised alarm over the rising drug crisis in Nigeria, saying an estimated 14 million citizens are struggling with addiction. Speaking at a drug awareness program in Ondo State, Deputy Commander Yetunde Joyfus warned that many users consume dangerous substances that severely alter their mental state. She stressed the urgent need for stronger community engagement to tackle the worsening crisis. The event, organized by the Ojafon Youth Council, focused on educating secondary school students, one of the most vulnerable groups. Council President Adedokun Adeyono identified peer pressure and media influence as key drivers of drug abuse, urging society to take stronger measures to protect young people from falling into addiction. To explore this further, we are joined by a public affairs analyst, Francis Chikala. Thank you so much, Mr. Chikala, for joining us on the news.
Good morning. It's Mr. Chilaka, not Chikala.
Chilaka, all right, noted, sir. Now, over 14 million Nigerians are said to be battling drug addiction. How alarming is this crisis to you?
It's quite alarming. It simply shows that we're losing the fabric of the nation, which is the younger generation. Something needs to be done urgently to arrest this situation.
Okay, so then what are the most severe physical and mental health effects of drug abuse, particularly among young people?
Well, I mean, anybody who gets addicted to using hard drugs, be it the smaller ones or the bigger ones, obviously, the first thing you notice is loss of memory. The person doesn't is unable to concentrate to do the right things. And then, from there, it develops into stealing, because you need money to buy these drugs to be able to keep yourself happy. So you begin to steal. Before you know it, you're going to armed robbery, and all kinds of vices. It's a really serious matter, and I'm happy that a group has taken it up to start talking about it in secondary schools. But we need to go beyond that. We need to begin to explore other areas where there is so much abuse. The bus stops. We need to move to the churches. We need to move to the mosques. We need to move to where young people gather and begin to educate them, because we're losing quite a number of our young people. We're having people with terminal illnesses. We're having people with kidney problem and all of that. These are part of the effects of these hard drugs.
Okay, you mentioned quite a couple of approaches that can be employed to deal with this menace, but then we still have issues around peer pressure and media influence. How would you say these contribute to drug abuse, and how do we counter these factors?
Well, if we're talking about peer group will always be there. You can't throw that away. But it's also goes to show that we're losing parenting in Nigeria. Parents are no longer available for their children to be able to educate them well and to be able to guide them. So that is one important area we need to look at. Now, when we talk about the media and, those in the movie industry, the music industry, we need to have a situation where certain programs, certain videos are not allowed to be aired. Videos that encourage encourage smoking, encourage drinking of alcohol and all of that. So there has to be some level of restrictions, especially by the National Communication Council and all of that. So they need to do more to be able to arrest this situation. It's not something that can be done just by government. It's something that parents, teachers, and volunteers need to come together and find a way to address this issue.
Now, it's quite nice, I would say, that the campaigns have been taken to schools, but then let's look at the management and the communities involved and other organizations. What role can they play in preventing drug abuse, most especially in these schools now?
Well, first and foremost, we need to, I don't believe in solving problem without addressing the root cause of the problem. We need to have laws that are very strict, especially with those who are bringing these drugs into the country. We need to have laws that, give them maximum punishment. When there are laws that punish people for doing the wrong thing, a lot of this menace will change. The management, yes. A lot of schools don't even have counseling units. They need to begin to have counseling units. And I think NDLEA itself should move out too and get more involved with the day-to-day activities of the people, going to bus stops, and all of that, not just sitting at the airports and at the seaports waiting to arrest people who are bringing in the drugs. They need to go out there and arrest those who are even peddling the drugs. Most of these NDLEA people, they know those who peddle these drugs. They need to go after them and ensure. And then when drugs are seized and they need to be destroyed, they need to also ensure that it's the total quantity of drugs that are seized that are destroyed. So every means by which we can stop the spread of these drugs, living either from those who are bringing it in or those who are working with the agency, so that it doesn't get to the younger generation. I mean, that's a big deal, and that's a way forward for us to be able to fight the menace of drug abuse in Nigeria.
All right, Mr. Francis Chilaka, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. At the Southern Kaduna area of Kaduna State, President Tinubu was represented by the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, at the formal handover of the university to the Governor of Kaduna State, ordered the Education Ministry to capture the university in its 2025 appropriations. The university, initially registered as NOK University, Kachia Kaduna, was forfeited to the federal government as proceeds of financial crimes, which will offer courses now in applied and medical sciences. The Federal Capital Territory Administration says that it will commence the monitoring of Almajiri schools within the capital. This followed a Security Council meeting between the Minister of the Federal Capital territory and heads of security agencies within the FCT. The police commissioner says that the council has resolved to identify the schools, profile their operations, and also be more conscious of persons migrating into the capital.
And then the minister, at the end of the meeting, agreed, or rather directed, a committee be set up by us, and then he awaits the outcome of it in 2 weeks. He has a mandate to see how it's going to work out with the area council chairman for them to identify schools where these children are being brought in to learn, to profile those organizing these schools, to have the pictures, phone numbers of people organizing these groups, and for them to work out means of working with them in future, and probably to find out what the government can do to ensure that they are kept in check, and to find out the content of the training they are giving these students in their various schools.
And I'll tell you that the Bank of Zambia has announced the introduction of a new family of Zambian currency set for launch on March 31, 2025. BOZ Governor Dr. Dani Kalialia confirmed that while the design will change, the currency's value, alpha code ZMW, numeric code 967, and symbol K will remain unchanged. The redesign aims to enhance security and efficiency while reflecting Zambia's heritage. A nationwide education campaign will begin to guide citizens on the transition. Minister of Finance and National Planning will issue a statutory instrument outlining how people can exchange old banknotes and coins, including specific locations and timelines. The process began on July 2021 with approval from the BOZ board. And joining us is the President's League of African Ambassadors, Ambassador Nwane Ominyi, who was also the immediate past Nigerian High Commissioner to the Republic of Zambia, to discuss this. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the news.
Thank you very much, and it's my pleasure.
All right. Now, Ambassador Nwane, you stayed in Zambia for a few years. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the routes of the Zambian government? Of course, the route it has taken to introduce new banknotes on inflation and the economy in the country?
Thank you. Good morning, viewers, and thank you, the presenter. As a matter of fact, we know that introducing a new note into economy is basically common to all countries that use notes. Virtually every country does that as a matter of time, once at a time, for the advantage it brings into Zambia as a country. Basically, what I can first of all see there is the continuation of policy. Like you in your intro, you mentioned that this policy was approved in 2021, and this present government came in August, while the policy was approved in 2021. It brings into a system of continuity, not minding that it is a different government that is now on the saddle, but they still continue with this policy which his predecessor approved. On economy, basically it is not, there is not value to, not most particularly to Zambia, but any country economically, except that it makes the system of payment easier. And when you look at Zambia, you know for today there are 8. They are on the table of the strongest currency in Africa. They are maintaining position 8. Today, exchange rate is about 26 kwacha to $1, which is a very strong position, and it does not affect that position. So it is basically a policy that country introduced into their financial system once in a while.
And how best will it enhance security in terms of financial transaction and efficiency within the system?
Well, I don't see a particular role that plays, except for the fact that it will help to, let me use that language, catch up with those who have stockpiled, ill-gotten wealth from government coffers, who don't normally patronize the banking system. So with the new intro coming now, we're forced to bring it out. And basically that has been a system that has worked for so many countries. Zambia is, the present government is very, very up and doing in terms of anti-corruption war. I see that yielding massive dividend to the country.
All right, thank you so much, Ambassador Omi, for sharing your thoughts with us on the news.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Away from that, dozens of displaced people are evacuating a camp in Goma, Eastern DR Congo, after the Rwanda-backed M23 armed group issued a 72-hour ultimatum. Camp officials confirmed the warning, which has left many with no safe place to go. M23 seized control of Goma last month, escalating violence in the region. Thousands remain stranded as humanitarian agencies struggle to provide aid amid the ongoing conflict. We also tell you that the Botswana Vice President, who is also the Minister of Finance, Ndaba Gaulate, on Tuesday delivered the 2025-2026 budget speech proposal to Parliament. The 2025 financial year holds particularly significance as it marks the first budget under the 13th Parliament and a new administration committed to transformation and prioritizing the needs of the citizens. Presenting the budget proposals in Parliament, Vice President and Minister of Finance Ndaba Gaulate emphasized that the upcoming financial year will also witness the launch of the 12th National Development Plan. Reaffirmed the government's commitment to positioning Botswana as a model of effective governance, unity, fairness and prosperity across the African continent. According to the minister, the plan underscored the collective responsibility of government officials not only to drive economic recovery, but also to restore public trust. To discuss this, we are joined by a journalist, Shingirai Madondo, and it joins me from Gaborone. Thank you so much, Mr. Madondo, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So what were the immediate reactions from parliamentarians and the public to Vice President Gaulate's budget speech?
The immediate reaction to the budget was not that everybody was actually expecting, or it's something that people were not expecting from what the Minister of Finance, who is also the Vice President of the Republic of Botswana, was expected. Like just yesterday, the leader of opposition, who is also the president of the opposition, Botswana Congress Party, Dumelan Sarishando, actually barraged or trashed the budget, saying challenges that Botswana is facing. And he says what is happening, or what the minister said, is not going to answer all those questions, whereby we have a high unemployment, which is actually expected to be between 29% and 30%. And in the first quarter of this particular, or the last quarter rather, of 2024, it actually rose to 38% because of company closures, as well as some of the businesses that were not doing well, that ended up retrenching. So I say the budget does not speak to the socio-economic challenges that Botswana is facing at the moment.
So does that mean that there were no key points from the budget speech that resonated with the citizens?
Indeed, there was not the expectations, looking at the fact that this is a new political party that took over from the party that actually ruled this country for the past 58 years. That is the Botswana Democratic Party, that was founded for the very first time in the history of this particular republic, looking at the fact that Botswana got its independence in 1966. But now, the umbrella for democratic change under the leadership of Advocate Duma Boko, actually, they were campaigning they actually made a lot of promises that were meant to actually economically empower the people of Botswana. But looking at what Renda Bahaulati, who is the Minister of Finance, said, it is not talking to those issues, looking like the old pension fund that was actually paid at about 830 which is almost just about $70, or if not $80 per month. It was raised to 1,400, which is just $200. But the expectation was that it was going to be at least $200 per month, but they failed to do so. They actually rose it to at least $100. So this means then that they failed to also honor that single one. Looking at the fact that they're going to create a lot of employment opportunities. They exceed in the 5 years of their leadership, that is from 2025 from 2024 rather to 2029. They will be creating at least 500,000 jobs. That's about 500,000 jobs, equating it to at least 100,000 jobs per year. But from the look of the things, from the budget that was actually presented on Monday, it doesn't speak to that particular point. Looking at the fact that the development of budget just over 20 billion, and they're saying, what can we do with 20 billion to actually create the much needed employment opportunities? So people are dejected. Members of parliament are not taking it lightly, and we're going to see a lot of sounds being launched in parliament against what the Minister of Finance has just elaborated this week.
All right, thank you so much, Mshingirai Amadondo, for sharing these thoughts with us.
Thank you very much. My pleasure is mine.
Outside of Africa, we tell you that the Trump administration has taken legal action against New York, accusing the state of obstructing federal efforts to clamp down on undocumented migrants. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi claims New York prioritizes undocumented migrants over American citizens and refuses to comply with federal immigration laws. The lawsuit challenges state policies, including barring law enforcement from checking residency status during traffic stops, arguing they are unconstitutional. Bondi warned that states defying federal laws would be held accountable. This lawsuit follows similar legal action against Chicago and Illinois last week.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. As you know, we sued Illinois, and New York didn't listen. So now you're next. Millions of illegal aliens with violent records have flooded into our communities, bringing violence and deadly drugs with them. Absolutely. So the green light laws are that this is what the green light law says. It's a green light to illegal immigration, which says they can comply.
Talking business now, Senegal's Court of Auditors has confirmed that the previous government misreported key economic data, significantly understating debt and deficit figures. The review, ordered by President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, revealed that total debt at the end of 2023 stood at 99.67% of gross domestic product, far higher than the previously reported 0.41%. The budget deficit was also revised to 12.3% of GDP, up from 4.9%. Following preliminary findings in June, Faye's government halted further disbursement under Senegal's $1.8 billion International Monetary Fund credit facility. The IMF, which had suspended the program, said it would now assess the court's report and engage with authorities to address concerns. Barrick Gold has announced plans to resume operations on Wednesday at its Lolo Gonkoto mine in Mali once the government allows gold shipments to proceed. CEO Mark Bristow stated that the government of Mali assured Barrick that the $245 million seized gold still belonged to the company. The suspension stemming from a dispute over Mali's new mining code has hurt both sides. Meanwhile, Barrick's shares rose 6% in Toronto after reporting strong profits and unveiling a $1 billion share buyback program. In sports, Remo Stars ladies continued their unbeaten run in the Nigeria Women's Football League Premiership with a 2-0 victory over Abia Angels, securing their lead in Group A with 13 points. Bolaji Olamide's brace ensured the Sky Blue ladies stayed ahead of reigning champions Edo Queens, who defeated Nasarawa Amazons 2-0. In Group B, Bayelsa Queens held Rivers Angels to a 1-1 draw in Port Harcourt, keeping their top spot on goal difference. FC Robo Queens edged Ibom Angels 2-1, while Adamawa Queens thrashed Benue Stars, Benue Queens 2-0. Elsewhere, Ekiti Queens and Edo Queens recorded 2-0 wins, while Heartland Queens were held to a goalless draw by the NAS ladies. Niger Rattels and Delta Queens settled for a 1-1 draw. Do watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Likon on Obanjo.